Good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing fine and that you have a joy-filled day. Of course, joy comes from the Spirit. It's hard to copy that. So don't try the imitation versions of joy, whether it comes in a bottle or a pill. Get the real thing, the Spirit of God. All right. I am operating on about 3 hours sleep. The storms that we had last night, although we fortunately didn't get a lot of damage here in Georgia, there is some, but not compared to the other states. Starting in Texas and Oklahoma, I won't say got lucky, because we know what that means, but God was looking out for us. Not that he wasn't looking out for everybody else, but you never know. All you can do is thank God that we survived with minimal damage. All right. Again, I'm 2 cups of coffee and I don't even feel them. So we're going to get this. This is going to be a short video. I'm just going to talk about some topics today. First off, I want to thank you for your comments. Constructive criticism is important. Trolls, I ban trolls, but if I ask a question and you answer it, that won't get you banned, even if I don't like the answer, because I have to basically accept that whatever I'm doing, I'm trying to serve you for God. And if I'm not doing that, then I need to fix things. Okay, so yes, I agree, the cat was getting out of hand. And so I'm going to do my best to keep him out of the picture for the most part. He knew that once I started and I sat down and I started talking, that I wasn't paying attention to him, and he started getting into that. If he does it again, I'll stop the video, lock him in the bedroom, and come back and finish it. Right now, he's asleep on the floor. So I'm going to leave him there. He was up with me most of the night because I had him in the car with me. I have a shelter to go into, but because I have good internet, I was able to follow, since whatever goes through Alabama comes here, I was able to stay up on with the satellite and watch the weather reports. People are starting to come into the park. Why not? It's a Sunday. It's going to be a beautiful day. And as long as they can get here, the aftermath of the storm shouldn't affect most people. So anyhow, I will try to keep the cat out of here. You may get to see a cameo, but I'm not going to fight with the cat anymore on camera. Okay, political though, somebody says, well, maybe they're getting tough because I'm getting political. They were tough on me before I became political. So if you give me 2 choices and it's damned if I do, damned if I don't, then it's up to me which choice I make. It doesn't matter. If you were nice to me, YouTube, when I was doing nothing but religious shows, and then bad when I was doing political shows, I might be hesitant. But you've been evil in both cases. So there's no reason for me to not say what I feel about YouTube and about politics. We as speakers of God, we do have a message to get out. And I don't want to get sidetracked by politics. But I do a video every day. So if I do 1 a week, that's commentary like I'm doing today, then that's it. If you don't want commentary, don't watch it. It's real simple. You have the option. But I just want to tell everybody what I see is going on in the world, just in case you're living under a rock, to make sure that we know what's going on. Okay, the most current headline for me right now, there's all kinds of stuff going on, would be the storm. I've got 3 hours of sleep because of it. And not sound sleep because the storm was noisy. And I'm in a trailer, and this thing is a very heavy trailer. the wind would not blow it over unless it was hurricane force. And I was watching the tracks. There were multiple hurricanes coming across Alabama. One headed for this general area while it was in Alabama, but it broke apart when it came across the line. At which point, that's when I decided to go to bed. So, there are 3 brick buildings. They're bathrooms, but they're 3 brick buildings, concrete block buildings that would handle the strongest storm. Now, you could have a hurricane force 2 million and it would blow off everything. But a normal thing for this area, we get levels 0 through 3 typical, maybe a 4. I don't remember if there's ever been a 5 that I'm aware of. Now, I'm not in the Midwest. I'm not in Oklahoma, and I'm not in Arkansas or any of these places that might get it. They have deaths from this storm. I think the total is 35 right now. Pray for the families and for those that lost everything. Some people lost their homes, whether it was on wheels or foundation. They interviewed a lady on one of the news channels that had to run over to her neighbor's house, and they put her up for the night because her home was gone. So, this is what this world is like. My suspicion is that we get bored with life too easily, so God gave us an interesting world to live on. We've got earthquakes and hurricanes and tornadoes, and just everything can go wrong. It makes it more interesting. We have mountains that I don't think Adam and Eve had. I don't think there were mountains pre-flood, frankly. To sit there and say they found the ark up on top of a mountain in the Himalayas, no. You might have found some wood from trees and stuff, but I don't think you've got the ark, because I don't think the ark had to deal with more than 100-foot land. I've talked about this before. Okay. So I'm looking at some headlines on the weather, and it basically said a multi-day severe system is charging across the U.S., spawning violent tornadoes, dust storms, and blizzards. There were 250 tornado warnings in 2 days. Most of that might have been in 1 day. I'm not exactly sure, and I watched quite a number of them coming across. Mississippi had some pretty good damage and deaths. Pretty good damage in Alabama, damage and deaths in Arkansas, Missouri. St. Louis, a lot of damage up that way. So be prepared, because these are just normal events. There will be earthquakes and famines. These are just normal events. So be prepared for those. And be aware. Now, I posted a picture earlier. We did have one tree, and its base was probably, like this. It was a pine tree, and it fell down. It was next to the tree that we were expecting to fall down when we had the fire back there last month. 2 trees burned for 2 more days after the fire because their insides were hollowed out. Pine beetles get in and they eat the core of the tree out, and the tree dies, and the inside can burn. They call that type of wood lighter. So it was burning. We expected them down. They've asked to have them cut down, but we're on the list. It's a big county. But anyhow, the tree next to it's the one that fell down. See, you don't know. You can't predict God. And I think to some degree he does that on purpose. And smiles when he does, because there was no real damage. Okay. There was nobody in the trailer, by the way, because if somebody had been in the trailer and that fell right next to him, because it did, the top branches did scrape the side of the trailer. And some material came off on top. You would have had to have changed the sheets, I'm sure. Sorry for the graphic. Okay, as you watch the news, we're still seeing symptoms of TDS and MDS. It's prevalent. It's everywhere, especially in the mainstream media. TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, and MDS, Musk derangement syndrome. These people are fit to be tied. They spent years under the cover without people watching what they were doing, and they got away with stealing blind everybody. They'd come up with a plan. Let's save the gay whales. As if we have them, and why do we care if we save them? But they'll come up with a plan that would get some sympathy from somebody. Oh, and we have to have $100 billion to do that. Boom, $100 billion, just like that, goes to that agency that they created just for that. And they take 1% to set up an office and to hire a staffer to print pamphlets and to talk about it, and the other 99% goes into politicians' pockets. Stealing, outright theft. These people should be taken out and shot if convicted, but they won't because that's treason. But jail time anyway, never allowed to enter the office of any government official ever again the rest of their lives. Anything. I want to see these people dealt with, okay? Because they got away with this for a long time. Years, not just Biden. I don't know how far it goes back, but basically I would be suspicious of any politician after Reagan, and maybe before that. Okay, so anyhow, the media doesn't like these people, and they're getting chewed out online, and they don't care. Because they're edited down, and you see a redacted interview where they look like they're on top. Okay, SpaceX to the rescue. Their Falcon crew just got up there, docked, and now they're on board. Their astronauts went up, their replacement crew for the people that need to come down. We know there's 2 up there that have been up there for 8 months that should have come back on the NASA capsule, which had so many problems, they didn't want to risk the astronauts on it. This is the 14th launch for SpaceX of astronauts into space. Successful, no problems. Let's hope that it continues that way. We pray that it continues that way. So anyhow, within a day or so, they're going to be bringing the other crew back. What else in the news? The U.S. this time is spending a couple of days and lots of aircraft and bombs dropping on the Houthis. The Houthis basically said, we're big and tough, you can't hurt us, we're going to basically shut down all the ships in this area. We don't want any cargo ships. I don't care who it is, we're going to launch missiles at them. Tough talk for a little bitty country in a small terrorist organization. But they've got Iran backing them, and everybody's afraid to attack Iran. They're not completely sure whether they have nukes or not. And Russia and China have just befriended them. So, once again, we're fighting a proxy war. Israel's fighting a proxy war. They've learned to fight proxy wars. Iran's learned from the best because the best is Satan. Korea was a proxy war. We weren't fighting the North Koreans, we were fighting China. Vietnam, we weren't fighting the North Vietnamese, we were fighting China in Vietnam. Who's this? Yep, four fishermen just showed up. I don't know if the ranger's here or not. I'll have to go out and collect money if he's not. $3 a day to fish. Can't beat that. So anyhow, they know they've taken out a number of leaders, but they don't know how much, we haven't heard how much damage. The problem is, these guys are so fanatical. The guy on his deathbed would get up and push a button to launch a missile at anybody. So they got to take, these are all bad guys. All of Hamas are bad guys. all of Hezbollah are bad guys. They take the worst of the worst and they put them into these terrorist organizations. Iran funds them, and they just keep at it, and they don't give up. Hamas has been completely obliterated, but they're still talking tough because they have their hostages. They know that when they give up the last hostage, there's nothing to stop everything from coming at them. So they're fighting that tooth and nail. But if we can get more and more out, a little bit at a time, they've got dead hostages as well as live ones. And there's one American still there. They want them out of there. And the U.S. has talked tough, but Israel is not quite ready to go in there and carpet bomb the country. You say, well, what about the innocent civilians? I don't believe there's innocent civilians in Gaza. They all know that they've been living a lie. And you see the pictures of them. They've got 8-year-old kids carrying around a rifle. Death to Israel. They're being taught young. So I don't know that there's any in there. And I'm only quoting what I see online. But it's like, shoot them all and let God sort them out. It's getting that bad with people. Okay, so I think that's all for my general headlines right now. We need to continue to pray for getting the word out, whether it's me or any of our other preachers, leaders. Franklin Graham just spoke in what at one point in time would have been an atheist haven with thousands of people, sort of like his father. We're still getting the message out, and we have to keep doing that in spite of what's going on. We just kicked the ambassador to South Africa out because he's turned on whites. Yeah, rich whites took over South Africa, so maybe they deserve some of it, but you just kick people out of office. You don't go out and start killing people like they're doing in Syria. They're killing There's so many factions over there, it's hard to know how to label them. But you've got Shiites and Sunnis. The Shiites are the crazy ones. That's Iran. The Sunnis are the peaceful ones that still hate Israel but don't want to go to war. So the Shiites are still killing the Sunnis. And there's Kurds and other ones which are kind of hybrids. And there's Christians over in there. They're killing them for sure. There's no Jews there of any kind. There might be some that don't talk about it, but Lebanon used to be a resort area for Israel. The Jews would go up there on the coast. Gaza should be. And when Trump says he wants to take it over and make it a nice place, he could make it a nice resort area that all the countries around there could come to and live in. You got to get rid of Hamas. But you're never going to get rid of the cancer if you don't go after the source. At some point in time, and maybe when they get all their hostages, I don't know, they may go in and start bombing Iran. But we know, biblically, Damascus and the west coast of Iran have what they say are destroyed and people can no longer live there. That sounds atomic. So it's in the Bible, so something's big's got to happen. There's also got to be lots of bad stuff going on for the Antichrist to come down and get a 7-year peace treaty. If there's already peace, how can you have a peace treaty? He's got to be the Savior. Little s. Little c for Christ. Messiah. Little m. We are still in a high watch. Dr. Barry Oss says that it's this holiday season coming up, Passover/Easter. I can't argue against it, but I can't say, let's stop what you're doing and be ready. No. Keep what you're doing and be ready. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep spreading the gospel. You should be handing out a tract to somebody as you fly up in the air. God told me in a quick little vision that I should be filming myself going up into the air. That's how long I need to do these videos, until he comes to rescue us. And that I should be caught. If I were to start going up right now, I'd grab the camera. Of course, it'd get caught inside the trailer. Now, if I'm outside, when the weather gets nice, I'm going to be outside more. The ground's wet. The tables are all wet. I can't go out yet. I can walk. I can take hikes and stuff like that, and I may do that for an upcoming video. But once it gets, it was 87 degrees before the storm hit yesterday. So we're getting close. But springtime is holding on. Or winter is holding on. Springtime's trying to take over. Spring and fall are basically the same, just opposites. In the springtime, it's cold with warm coming in from the south typically. If it comes from the north, it's cold. And fall, it's the opposite. It's cold with colder coming in because it starts getting cold. All right. I'm beginning to ramble now, so I guess I need to wrap this up. Kitty is still sleeping on the floor. You've seen plenty of pictures of him, so just know he's here and comfortable, and we were both safe last night. I was in my car, driving around, watching the park. I never even saw the tree that fell behind the ranger's trailer. He came and picked me up this morning. Says, "You've got to see this." I go, "There's nothing here in the park. It's fine." No. You have to see this. Literally, it fell right behind it. Perpendicular to the road, so if you didn't drive around the trailer, you wouldn't have known it was there. God smiles when he does stuff like that. Yes, I know you're powerful. Thank you for there was no damage. All right. Obviously, you need to be prepared. I keep saying this. If you had bought back before, I've been doing this for 5 years now. If you'd have bought back in the beginning, groceries and things like that, you'd be absorbing some of the cost. Now, obviously, we're talking about non-perishable. You couldn't have bought apples back 5 years ago and have them be good today unless you can them. And you could do that too. I just had a canned jar of apple butter. I just finished it and gave them the jar back. Delicious. Put it on toast. But it was canned. You can can. Most of our people don't know how to do that today. Most of the instructions on how to do that are written in longhand on the back, so they definitely never figure it out. But keep prepping. You don't know the day we're getting out of here. It could be a week of terror. It could be a month of terror before we get out of here. You don't know. Have enough to last. You should have enough food and water to last at least a month. Now, if you live in a building and you've got a hot water tank, that's full of clean water, and you can drain it. If you know you're going to have a problem, you fill up your pots and pans, you fill up your sinks, and you fill up your bathtub. And you can use the water to scoop out of the sinks and pour it into the back of the toilet if there's no water. So you can have a relatively normal life. Now, you're going to be taking cold showers if there's no power. That's all right. Heat the room up really well if you've got a heater. And I've got portable propane heaters that if I had no power, I could still heat the place. Right now, I've got electricity. And our power did go out last night for a glitch. I don't know for how long. I woke up in the morning and the clock on the microwave was reset. And my little electric heater that normally would have been on was off. That was my clue. But it didn't stay off. It was just another thing that I do to tell people to be safe. I have a little refrigerator in here. It has a cute little ice cube tray, about yay big. There's like 2, 4, 6 small ice cubes in it. I fill it up, freeze it, and then I flip it up on the side and stick it alongside my produce or my food that's in there. I got vegetables in there. I've got meat. I got some shrimp that I had yesterday, which was good. If that tray is ever empty, don't eat the food. As long as that tray stays frozen, it's okay. If the ice cubes come out of it and melt, the food's no good. That's how you know whether you've had power outages for a long period of time. That little trick can save your life. So, be prepared. You don't have to be prepared for the rapture. In fact, you can't prepare for it. You could go up mid-bite. You could be eating a meal. You could be doing other sundry things that might be embarrassing. I don't imagine somebody sitting reading the paper would go up with the paper. I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know how God's going to do that. But I'm sure He's going to discreetly handle that. So be ready for down here. Be prepared for down here. Prep for down here. And if you're not here to enjoy what you prepped, maybe your loved ones who are on the fence, maybe your neighbors who are nice people but not Christians, maybe they can live off of that food. Do what you can to help. But keep the gospel flowing. That's the key. Till we meet in the clouds. And I'm going to get back to Corinthians tomorrow. Till we meet in the clouds. God bless.